Hello and welcome to our channel. This is Mark Braxton. This is Dad Tech with Braxton Family. Welcome. And today we have a review of the DJI Avata with the Explorer combo. The Explorer combo comes with the new Integra goggles and the motion controller 2. And you may know I have two drones. I have the DJI Mini 3 Pro and now the DJI Avata. I really enjoy both of them, but it's became very much a battle between the head and the heart between these two drones. So on one hand you have the Mini 3 Pro, which is very pragmatic, very sensible on what it does in a stable platform for filmmaking. And can it be fun? Yes, it can be fun. But on the other hand, we have the DJI Avata, which is straight up fun. That's where the heart comes into play, because this little drone with the goggles is just so fun to fly. It can give you experiences and you can do things with it that you just really can't do with a traditional type drone. Typically the people who are flying these drones have made them, the FPV drones, they've made them themselves, they put them together, they've learned how to solder, they've learned how to do all these things, and then along comes DJI and says, one, there was the FPV drone, and then two, they released the DJI Avata. And it's really a gateway into that type of flying, but for someone who's never done it before. And by all intents and purposes, I've seen a lot of people either take the DJI Avata with the actual control, put it into full manual, and crash, lose the drone. You know, even after a time in the simulator, even experienced drone pilots taking it, being very experienced with the drone, but putting it into manual mode and just ditching or crashing. Taking a concept of being able to give a novice or a brand new person the ability to fly FPV is just unique, because the FPV drone scene is very specific and very difficult to get into, or at least it's a very difficult skill to learn from what I've heard. Really would encourage anyone who's never flown first-person view to try this thing out in any way, shape or form you can, just to get that experience. So we'll go over some positives and negatives, and then I will show you some footage of me flying in the backyard, and then we'll have a little conclusion. Positives, I just think it's so easy to get into, so easy to operate, so easy to fly. This controller is great. This is the newer version. They've got the reverse feature on there. It goes both ways, but you just basically squeeze it. It's like you're a pilot. It's like you're flying in a cockpit, and it's motion controller. So up, down, rotate left, rotate right. And you got some new controls on here now, which is this thing, allows you to go up and down. One little top tip, if you are going to fly with this, go into the settings and change the expo and gain, I think it's called, where you can make this go faster. By default, you press up and it really slowly goes up, and you press down and it really slowly goes down, and same thing with left and right. So change it and you'll get more elevation, more speed in your acceleration and ascending with this one. The reverse feature came in handy a few times when I got close to a tree feature, which wasn't there before. I really don't know how you would have done it without the reverse feature. Putting this in a new person's hands, I mean, I'm new to FPV, put it in my hands and I just picked it up straight away. And I was putting this drone through gaps, and even when I was in the forest in Mount Charleston, there was a log and I saw it for the first time. I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. And you have confidence flying this in tight spaces, knowing that the drone is so compact that you're not gonna hit anything. And the little dot you have right in the middle of the goggles, basically you put that where you want it, squeeze the trigger, the drone goes there. Really, you can't get much easier than that. I did not try, or I have not tried the controller yet. That is probably gonna be another video and another review. This is also compatible with the DJI Mini 3 Pro. I don't know which other one it's compatible with, there's a list on their website. I had a little go of it. It was just a bit of a pain to swap between the two. I might have been doing something wrong. I don't know how simple it's supposed to be, but I just didn't bother switching it back once I got it paired again with the Avata. Then the goggles gives you a very good flying experience, just having the view of the drone in your, basically right here. If you get motion sickness, yeah, it could be a thing. So the head tracking on this is great, but it actually turned my stomach a few times. I was flying and you're looking around and there's a disconnect between what you're seeing and what your brain's telling you you're doing. So you're sat there, you're standing there, and you're moving your head, and as the drone's flying, you know, you look down and the gimbal looks down. It really threw me a little bit. So I'm sure it's something you could probably get used to. I just really didn't feel like I wanted to feel nauseous for the whole day. Did a little bit, but not too much. Biggest thing with the Integra goggles is the battery is in the back. So I never flew the other goggles. The battery's right here instead of having to have something plugged in and dangle down and a battery pack in your pocket. So that's just as simple as it gets when you're charging. It's got a little USB-C on the side. Charge it, away you go. So I'm going to cut to some footage of me in the backyard, flying around. This was a couple of weeks ago. I've had some fun experiences with it, some great footage. I'm novice at flying a drone, novice at photography, but this allowed me to get some very, very cool stuff. So I'll cut to the footage. Cool deal. It is a cool deal. Gooby gooba. My wife had to go, my son had to go. My baby didn't, because he's a baby. Ideally in the real world, I say this about a lot of things, I would have both. Maybe if my brother-in-law wants to buy this one, it could be in the family and we could still utilize it. Today I had my father-in-law fly it, I had my wife fly it, I had my mother-in-law fly it. Of all of them, my father-in-law actually controlled it, and mother-in-law, son and wife just had these goggles on while I flew it. But the Avata, fun, fun, fun. That's the best way to describe this thing. Another point, I feel a lot more confident flying these. Might be an experience thing, but flying with these, and I'll do things that I normally probably wouldn't do with just my controller. You can see exactly where you're going, and it gives you, and especially with the Avata, because of how compact it is. I did a little gap between my father-in-law's car and a bush in the sidewalk, and just poof, went through it. Didn't probably do it as fast as I possibly could have, but I did it at a decent speed, and I never would have done that with my Mini 3 Pro, just because you know the props are a little bit wider. You don't want to clip something. There is some instances where you would use an FPV drone for some pretty cool shots when you're doing photography stuff. I think they just look so good, especially around nature. I can't wait to get something like this. I think we're going to go in the mountains soon. I'll take both drones and see what we can get in the mountains, but like threading it through trees, going over tree lines. There's a waterfall, Mary Jane Falls, that we might visit. We will sit down in my office and we'll do a little bit more of an in-depth review. Whether I'm going to keep it or not, I have to ask the wife. Probably not, but still, very, very cool. Back to the office. Welcome back. So this happens to be the next day. For continuity purposes, got the same shirt, and I tried to set up the same. If there's anything in the scene that is different from the rest of the video, feel free to let me know. I actually know two things. If you spot them and you put them in the comments, I will confirm them. The reason I wanted to do a bit of an add-on was just because there was 3 points I wanted to make that I completely forgot to talk about yesterday. And these are not necessarily negatives, they're just nitpicks, let's call them. So first one would be the diving motion with the DJI Avata, which is, it's hard to simulate. So I'll put up some footage, but you'll see whenever you're going down, and this is without head tracking on. I've heard with head tracking it's a little bit better, but without head tracking on, you press down on the motion controller, you gesture down on the motion controller, and basically the drone just does this and the gimbal points down. So what happens at that point is you're not really simulating a dive like you would with a normal FPV drone. It would be so cool if you could do that with this drone. You just can't, and for safety reasons, I get it. But all that happens is when the gimbal points down, you see the frame of the drone, and I'll put some footage up. You can see it's clearly there. Now you can crop in, which I'm going to try and do with some of my footage that I want to use, but it just also doesn't simulate the look. You really just can't do that with this type of drone. So that's one negative. You have to go manual to be able to do so. And again, I've already mentioned that manual mode, there's a big learning curve, potentially damage to your drone, potentially losing your drone. There's a whole bunch of YouTube videos out there where people have tested out manual and crashed, all that stuff. My second negative is going to be where the port and where you put the SD card in the drone. And I'll throw a picture up just to get a little bit of a detailed shot of actually where this slot is. It's inside one of the prop guards where the propeller is, right? I got very good at angling the propeller correctly and then opening up the door and getting the SD card out. I shot a lot of footage, so you get good at it pretty quickly, but the main point is it's just in a really awkward position. Very difficult to get a USB-C in there, which there is a port right there to do it, but you got to angle it and it just doesn't really feel right. You feel like you're going to snap off a propeller, so just really not the best position. And obviously DJI know what they're doing. They're very good with drones. It just seems like they could have put that port somewhere, anywhere other than where they put it. It's a little minor annoyance. So getting the SD card in and out, you kind of have to like get your thumb in there and it pops out, and then you kind of like have to empty the drone and try and catch the micro SD as it's falling out. And you may know micro SDs are pretty tiny, pretty easy to lose. So I didn't really like that. The last one, everyone comments on this, is the noise. So as you can hear the difference between the two drones, my DJI Mini 3 Pro, pretty quiet compared to the Avata. Now the Avata, it is so high pitched. So when I've flown the Mini 3, people have said, oh, it sounds like a angry swarm of bees or something, and it does. The Avata sounds like an angrier, aggressive murder hornets swarm or something. It is just really, and I get it, the props are so small and it's in such a compact little body that is totally understandable as to why you get that high pitch when it fires up. So my mini hike I did with the Avata this time, where I was set up on a shelf looking across the city. When I was up there flying it around, it was kind of early in the morning. It just echoes and you can hear it buzz by, and I did a lot of shots where I was flying the drone as close as I dared to me, across over my head, around my back, between me and a camera that was behind me, just to basically dare to get it as close and close and close. And when it flies by, you know it's going by your head. There's no question that the Avata's in the air and anyone and everyone around will hear it. So that wraps up the 3 points that I missed. I don't know where this is going to slot into the rest of the video, so I guess this is a cut and it will go to something else. I really have to recommend this drone to anyone who's thinking about just a drone in general, a beginner drone. One big recommendation I have would be, I did end up purchasing the Fly More bundle, which really is just 2 more batteries and like a 4 charging thing. I don't have it with me. I really recommend that. So these batteries don't last all that long. If you're in sports mode, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. If you're not in sport mode, you'll get a little bit longer, but as soon as you're getting, I don't know, 30-40% of your battery and you put it in sport mode, you're going to get your return to home warning pretty quickly. You put it back into normal mode, it lasts a little bit longer. These batteries, you need more than one. If literally you've bought this bundle, you've got the one battery, you're flying for 20 minutes and then you're charging for 30, 40, 50 minutes, just to have the ability to take one out, put another one in. My biggest recommendation is just as many batteries as you can afford reasonably. They're not cheap either. If you have the ability to, great. And I did use it in a whole bunch of different environments, and really I was looking for any excuse to fly this drone. So if we were going somewhere, I'm like, I'll pack it. I was looking just for any excuse to fly this. So that's a testament to it. And then, so that's where the battle between the heart and the mind comes into play, because my heart says, oh, I really want to fly this one. And then my DJI Mini 3 is just kind of like, you know, great drone, but it doesn't have the excitement factor, because you put it in the air, it just sits there and hovers, and it does exactly what you want, but it's just missing that little bit of excitement that really puts this ahead of it. This one's special. It's got a special place in my heart. There is a link in the description below if you want to go on Amazon and purchase it. It's the Explorer combo. It's the one that has the new goggles, the new remote controller, and a battery, as well as there'll be a link for the extra batteries and the DJI Mini 3 and all my camera stuff. Right, that has been a review of the DJI Avata. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out. Laters.